Hi, Cathy. Malika Andrews, ESPN. I just wanted to get some clarity on some of the specifics that Nafisa Collier said about your conversation that you had that was previously private. Did you, in fact, say that, quote, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the rights deal that I got them?
Could the Indiana Fever, a team once seen as destined for greatness, be on the verge of an announcement that has stunned the WNBA and sent shockwaves through the basketball world? Just 6 months ago, the Fever were the talk of the league. Gainbridge Fieldhouse was packed, fans filled the stands, and merchandise was flying off the shelves. The future looked brighter than it had in years. The team seemed finally established, or so everyone thought. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming, tensions were rising, and a storm was quietly building. In every sense, the transformation was remarkable. After years of struggle and half-empty arenas in a city that had nearly forgotten its WNBA team, the Fever suddenly found themselves at the center of a basketball revolution. The energy was electric. Optimism spread like wildfire. Everywhere you looked, people proudly wore Fever jerseys. Local businesses embraced the team like never before. Restaurants created Fever-themed menu items, and bars ran special game day promotions. The Indianapolis Star suddenly began featuring the team on the front page of its sports section several times a week, after years of burying coverage in the back pages. Longtime season ticket holder Patricia Anderson said, "It felt like 2012 all over again," referencing the Fever's lone WNBA championship. In truth, it felt even better. The buzz was undeniable. "My grandkids wanted to go to games," she added. At work, everyone was talking about the Fever. It fulfilled every expectation. Youth basketball enrollment surged across Indiana. Suddenly, young girls who had never considered playing the sport wanted to pick up a ball. Coaches noticed their players mimicking Fever plays, trying signature moves they'd seen in games, and studying with a focus they'd never shown before. The economic impact was massive. Local experts estimated that Fever home games were generating millions in revenue. Nearby hotels were fully booked on game nights, parking prices spiked, and downtown Indianapolis buzzed with life. But as many have learned, success rarely stays steady. Behind the scenes, tensions were quietly growing inside the Fever's practice facility. In hindsight, the warning signs were there, subtle, almost invisible. Small-scale conflicts that often surface in any competitive environment were starting to take shape. A player sitting alone on the bench during practice. A coach's frustrated expression during a timeout. A vague social media post open to interpretation. In early March, veteran WNBA reporter Jessica Wallace published a piece titled "Growing Pains: The Fever's Unexpected Challenges." At the time, it barely made a ripple. Most dismissed it as standard sports journalism, manufacturing drama and inventing problems where none existed. But Wallace had noticed something real. She'd read the body language at media open practices. She'd watched who sat together during team meals and who sat alone. She'd tracked social media activity, noting who liked each other's posts and who had suddenly stopped engaging altogether. There was a disconnect. Wallace later explained on a podcast, "I had a strange feeling, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Even if the signs were there, not everyone could see them." Her concerns were brushed aside by other reporters. The Fever were winning. Attendance was up. What more could anyone ask for? In professional sports, success often hides dysfunction. Teams with deep internal issues can still rack up victories, at least for a while. Former NBA coach Jeff Van Gundy once said, "Chemistry problems are like carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't realize there's an issue until it's too late." His words would prove prophetic for the Indiana Fever. Front office staff, equipment managers, assistant coaches, and team insiders had noticed friction but assumed it was normal. After all, every roster has players who don't always get along. Later, one anonymous staff member admitted, "We figured it would work itself out. We thought winning would smooth over any rough edges." That assumption would prove disastrously wrong. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert made an unexpected announcement that left everyone stunned. The news hit like a lightning bolt. Almost no one anticipated Engelbert's revelation. that 3 key players would be leaving the Indiana Fever, sparking immediate confusion and outrage across the league. This was far more than a simple roster change. It was a seismic event that completely reshaped the WNBA landscape. Reporters were given just 4 hours' notice before the press conference. Media crews scrambled to adjust schedules and set up cameras, while social media exploded with speculation about what could possibly be so urgent. At exactly 2 p.m. Eastern, Engelbert entered the room. Her movements were deliberate, her expression grave. She carried only a bottle of water and a single sheet of paper. There were no pleasantries, no warm-up remarks. She went straight to the podium. "Thank you for joining us on short notice," Engelbert began, her voice steady but strained. The Women's National Basketball Association has always taken pride in being a league where players have agency and a voice. Today, we're facing a situation that highlights both the advantages and the challenges of player empowerment, Engelbert continued. Reporters leaned forward, cameras tightened their focus, and the room grew tense. She went on. The league is aware of the significant roster changes within the Indiana Fever organization. 3 players have formally indicated their intention to leave the team. We understand the impact this will have on the franchise, its fans, and the WNBA as a whole. While we respect our players' right to pursue the best paths for their careers, she paused, took a sip of water. The room was silent. The WNBA will work closely with all stakeholders to ensure a smooth transition. We remain fully committed to supporting the Indiana Fever through this difficult period, while also helping these departing players find environments where they can continue to thrive. The moment she stepped back from the microphone, chaos erupted. Reporters shouted questions over one another, desperate, demanding answers. Who were the 3 players? What caused this? Was it a coaching issue? A contract dispute? A violation of league policy? Engelbert raised a hand to calm the noise. "At this time, I'm unable to comment on specific player situations," she said firmly. "Those involved will have the opportunity to speak for themselves if and when they choose to do so. The Fever organization will also be issuing a statement soon." The questions only grew louder. Engelbert's tone sharpened slightly as she addressed the room once more. "What I can say is that this situation did not stem from a single incident. Based on our understanding, it reflects a buildup of concerns that developed over time. The league takes these matters very seriously," Engelbert concluded. "We will be reviewing our procedures to determine how we can better support players and organizations in preventing situations like this in the future." The press conference lasted barely 12 minutes. Engelbert fielded 5 questions, none of which she fully answered, before stepping away from the podium, leaving reporters shouting a storm of follow-ups behind her. Within minutes, the story exploded across every major sports platform. ESPN alerts lit up millions of phones. Twitter, now X, was flooded with reactions, theories, and outrage. Sports talk radio shows halted their regular segments to cover the breaking news. At first, the response was disbelief. Many assumed there had been a misunderstanding. "This can't be real," fans insisted. 3 players leaving? From a team that had just staged one of the greatest comebacks in recent memory? But as the minutes turned into hours, more reports began to confirm the unthinkable. The rumors were true. This was really happening. This was real. The WNBA's season-long feel-good story had unraveled in front of everyone's eyes. The Indiana Fever were in the midst of a stunning collapse. Sports betting markets reacted instantly. Just hours earlier, the Fever had strong odds to contend for the title. Now, those numbers plummeted. Individual award predictions shifted dramatically, and the financial ripple spread across betting platforms nationwide. Outside Gainbridge Fieldhouse, fans began to gather. Some came searching for answers. Others just wanted to be near the place that had brought them so much joy only weeks earlier. TV reporters rushed to the scene, capturing raw reactions from STUNS supporters struggling to process the news. "I don't understand," one fan said through tears. "We were finally good. We were winning. How does this happen?" Another fan, clutching a basketball and wearing a Fever jersey, stood silently, eyes fixed on the arena doors, as if waiting for someone to come out and tell him it was all just a terrible mistake. For a brief moment, even the sports world, famous for its fast takes and instant opinions, was completely stunned. This story didn't fit neatly into any one category. It wasn't about a failed contract negotiation or a disgruntled superstar demanding a trade. This was something deeper, more complex, and far more troubling. At the center of it all was the shocking revelation of Sophie Cunningham's departure. Even without an official illness or injury, her competitive fire alone made the idea of her leaving almost unthinkable. Rumors had been swirling for weeks about growing tension behind closed doors, but no one imagined such a definitive split, especially from a team that seemed on the verge of real progress. Grit, perseverance, and relentless willpower have defined Sophie Cunningham's entire career. She's the type of player whose impact often goes beyond the stat sheet. The saving dive that keeps a possession alive, the screen that frees a teammate for a clean look, the defensive rotation that stops an easy bucket. Her path to professional basketball was anything but guaranteed. Growing up in Columbia, Missouri, Sophie Cunningham wasn't a top-ranked high school prospect. She was a 3-star recruit, seen by coaches as dependable but not exceptional. When she joined the University of Missouri, she quickly proved everyone wrong. By her senior year, Cunningham had become one of the most complete players in the SEC. She built a reputation for delivering in clutch moments, averaging 18.4 points and 7.0 rebounds per game. Time and again, she was the driving force behind Mizzou's upsets over top-ranked teams. In 2019, she was selected in the second round of the WNBA draft by the Phoenix Mercury. Once again, expectations were modest. Second-round picks often struggle just to make the roster, let alone leave a mark. But Cunningham did what she's always done. She shattered expectations.